Today we're going to be taking a look at an RX 590 GME, but is it really a 590?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, but this is a $120 graphics card on Amazon you could buy right now. Is it a budget graphics card you should consider for your next build or upgrading your older rig? Well, we're about to talk about that, but first, a word from today's sponsor.
Huge shout out to today's sponsor, Odoo. Little known fact, before I started working at the good old Toasty Bros, I used to edit websites for people. That probably wouldn't have gone so well if they had known Odoo was around. With Odoo, you can take a website from something in your mind to a domain, designed, and online in no time. I sat down to build a website with Odoo and was shocked to see how easy it was. It took me through a few questions to ask what kind of business I'm in and what services I'd need to offer. And also huge shout out to Odoo for including YouTube as an option for a business. After a few questions and a couple minutes, I was presented with 3 mock-up websites that I could pick from. And once I chose, it was online and ready to be edited. It was super simple to click on anything that I wanted to change and edit its color, text, or image behind it. As for images, all I had to do was type in what I wanted and Odoo would give me a curated library of photos to choose from. Or even easier, I could upload my own photos if I had one that I thought was a better fit. If you're out there thinking of making your own website, don't wait any longer. Odoo can get you started today. It's super simple and free depending on what services you're looking to offer. So don't wait and check the links in our description down below. Thanks again to Odoo for sponsoring today's video.
So we bought this graphics card brand new on Amazon from 51 Risk, which we've taken a look at a few of their cards. And this is an RX 590. Don't forget that GME though, because that does make it a totally different card.
Yeah, it is technically an RX 580, which is really confusing because there are the RX 580 2048 stream processors that are all over Amazon, AliExpress, and places like that. And those cards, because of the stream processor count, are technically 570. So the real question is, these things are about $10 more than those 2048 stream processor cards. Should you buy this one or should you stick with those budget ones that we've done a ton of reviews of? We're gonna go over the tech specs of this graphics card and then show you guys if you should. So this is a Polaris 20 GPU with 2,304 stream processors, which makes it more like a normal 580 than a 590. It has 8 gigs of GDDR5 memory. It is a PCI 3.0 by 16 card, has a base clock speed of 1,257 megahertz with a boost of 1,420 megahertz, and it has a suggested power supply of 450 watts, which does show you that it's not a real 590 because normal 590s do draw a bit more power, so you would be okay with something like a 450, 500 watt power supply with something like this. Now that I've gone over the key tech specs of this 590 GME, what we're gonna go ahead and do is talk about this test bench real quick, which is our standardized test bench for testing graphics cards here on the channel, and then test it in our favorite games to see if you should spend the extra money.
Now to go over our test bench, we have the Ryzen 7 5700X 8-core 16 thread cooled by a very nice 240mm liquid cooler for all that cooling capacity. We have 32 gigs of PNY Accelerate 3600 MHz RGB RAM, a 1TB Team Group NVMe SSD. We have an Asus TUF B550 Micro ATX. We have an XPG 650 watt 80 plus bronze power supply, and then all of this is inside of a very nice deep cool case with lots of RGB fans that run very fast, so we have good airflow.
Alright gamers, now that we have the RX 590 GME on our test bench, let's go ahead and dive into some game testing, shall we? Now the games we decided to test are as follows. We have Cyberpunk, Far Cry 6, Battlefield 2042, Warzone 2.0, Spider-Man, and Fortnite. Now one thing we have to get out of the way, the RX 590 GME is basically a normal RX 580. It's very confusing, I know. We already have the RX 580 2048 stream processor that is basically an RX 570, and then we have a 590 GME that is not a 590, it's actually a 580 in terms of performance. AMD did some weird stuff here with this graphics card. We were wrong at the time of recording the video when we bought a 590 GME from AliExpress thinking it was a scam card. AMD actually did make a GME that just performs like a 580, but now that you can buy these cards for around the same price on Amazon that you can the 580 2048 stream processor, we thought it'd be good to test this card again because we want to see, should you spend an extra few more bucks to get a legit like 580 even though it's called a 590, or should you just go with the 2048 stream processor, which is basically a 570. Is the performance uplift worth it? Well, we're going to dive into some testing and see how it performs. Now, first up in a game like Cyberpunk, we have 1080p medium settings using quality FSR, and we got an average of 56 FPS, a minimum of 28, and a max of 72. With all these older AMD cards, it's very beneficial to use software like FSR to be able to get the maximum performance. If you weren't using FSR, it would not be a playable experience, but it's really cool to see 1080p medium settings with a $100 graphics card. We can get close close to a 60 FPS average with this 590. Now those minimum FPS numbers is something to be worried about a little bit. You're going to deal with some stutter here and there, but for a new card that's shipped from Amazon for $100, it's still more than acceptable in my opinion, especially if you pair it with the right CPU. Now let's dive into another AAA title, Far Cry 6, 1080p medium settings using balanced FSR, and these numbers really surprised me. We got an average of 113 FPS, a max of 123, and a minimum of 98. FSR works wonders in Far Cry, and using a graphics card for $100, getting 100 plus FPS in Far Cry 6, very impressive for a AAA title that can be kind of demanding to run at times. Now that I'm seeing that this card is performing very well, I'm already thinking about what CPUs to pair with this thing for a budget PC build guide. Obviously, you could go all AliExpress here and pick up like a Xeon combo and build a PC for like $300-400, but if we're talking the new market, I still think the i3 10100F, if you can find an affordable motherboard, is the best option, and you could easily build a $300 PC that is going to destroy pretty much any newer build that you can on the market right now. And this 590 or 580 is very capable still in 2023. Now let's dive into a more demanding game, Battlefield 2042, 1080p, low settings with the 128 Conquest mode. So we have a lot of people in this match. We were getting 60 plus FPS with dips into the 50 range every so often, but it was a very playable experience. I enjoyed playing Battlefield 2042 on this graphics card. Now, again, with this graphics card, you are going to need to pair with a proper CPU, especially when playing games like Battlefield. On our test bench, we have an 8-core 16-threaded processor, which I don't really recommend you do with this kind of graphics card. You're better off getting like a 4-core 8-thread, so your mileage may vary when running a more budget CPU in a game like Battlefield, but the performance is still very good, and if you are going to go with a $100 GPU, this one might be on your short list. Now let's dive into Warzone, a game that is absolutely broken, but I did not do Resurgence, which seems to be the most broken part about Warzone. 1080p balanced settings with balanced FSR. We got 70 to 80 FPS, but man, balanced FSR looks pretty bad at 1080p. If you're okay with sacrificing visual quality and that competitive advantage to see things far in the distance, you'll have no problems getting a 60 plus FPS experience. But if you want to dial back on that FSR to be able to get good visual quality, I'd imagine you'll get 60 FPS with some dips. So it's playable, but it's not an amazing experience, but that's all you can really expect from a $100 graphics card from Amazon. Now let's dive into another AAA title, Spider-Man, 1080p medium settings, and we ended up getting an average of 60 plus FPS with dips into the 50s. Now with this game, we decided to turn FSR off and just see what this graphics card can do. And while this card has 8 gigs of VRAM, and while it's older GDDR5 VRAM, having 8 gigs does benefit a lot in these AAA titles, because 1080p with these newer games, 8 gigabytes is almost becoming the minimum standard. So having this at our disposal allows us to play games like Spider-Man on decent settings and get 60 FPS and have no problems, well, flying around and having a really good time playing a AAA title that normally you'd be buying a PlayStation for. Yes, it's not going to look nearly as good as PS5 running 4K with all the visual qualities and stuff, but it does run really well at 1080p, and if you're wanting to get into Spider-Man without buying a PlayStation, you can definitely do it here. Now, of course, the last game we had to test is Fortnite. We ended up running the medium preset with quality TSR at DX12, and we got 100 plus FPS. My disclaimer I have to give every single time with Fortnite is a very CPU dependent game, so we try our best to run higher settings to really push the GPU, but at the end of the day, your CPU is going to be very important in a game like Fortnite. But with this combination right now, 100 plus FPS, no problem, I cannot complain at all. Overall, this card is pretty good. AMD did a weird thing making this graphics card, but the fact that these third-party sellers are selling them now at $100 on Amazon makes them more appealing in my eyes, especially on Amazon versus the 580s with 2048 stream processors, because you're only spending like $5 or $6 more. Now, if we're talking AliExpress, these cards are around $90, while the 580 2048 stream processors are about $60. I would still go with the other 580s because the $40 price difference is definitely not worth it. The $34 price difference is definitely not worth it. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are shopping AliExpress, go with the 580 2048 stream processor for the best value for money. But if you're shopping on Amazon right now, you should definitely pick up one of these 590 GMEs by checking the link in the description down below. It will be an affiliate link and it will help us out. But yeah, really cool card. Really cool to see that these are coming on Amazon at decent prices. And yeah, let's bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
So guys, we were no stranger to the performance of this card because we have used the RX 580 so many times over the years, and that's basically what this thing performs like. And really the question that you have to ask yourself if you're thinking about buying this card is, are you willing just to go used and get something like a GTX 1660 Super or even 1660 Ti for the same price or less than this graphics card, and you will get more performance, or do you really need that new value, which this card may provide you?
So yeah, there's a lot of options right now, and we're in a really good time for being able to buy a budget graphics card, and it's really cool to see that there's more options like this with Prime shipping on Amazon. And I think if you do spend the $10 more than the 2048 model, you will see the extra performance. So if you want to buy one of these cards yourself, check the link in the description down below. We'll be an affiliate link and it will help us out. Let us know what you think of this 51 Risk model. Is there any other GPUs on Amazon, AliExpress, or any other website you want to see us take a look at? Let us know in the comment section down below.
So we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
So now that we have used this graphics card in a full test video, we will be putting it inside of a full computer build at PCBros.tech, and just like all of our PC Bros PC, it will be custom.
Custom PCs with great warranties. PCBros.tech, use code ToastyBros2 on checkout to save 2% on your next purchase of a gaming PC, gaming laptop, and one of these bad boys. You get a build mat. You can build like the PC Bros team and Toasty Bros team by buying one of these build mats. PCBros.tech. See you guys later. Goodbye.
Peace out.